December 31st, 2025, you're like, oh my God, I did it, right? All my goals are met. I made the impact. I made the income. I launched my offer and I'm getting success. Launched my business. I grew my business. I have better relationships. I have an amazing life. So imagine you get drafted in the 2018 class and you are the top pick, right? The third overall pick in the draft. Massive expectations for you, right? That you're going to be one of the best quarterbacks. You're actually the very first quarterback that was drafted in the class as a third overall pick. You go to a team, you spend 3 seasons with that team, and you don't have you're not living up to your expectations. You're not getting the results that the whole world is expecting from you. So you get traded to another team and you spend a year and a half there, and same thing, same result. You don't get the expectations. You're not living up to the expectations. And then you get traded to another team. Now you're a backup quarterback, right? And you spend your time there backing up quarterback, but you have all this potential. You all have these massive expectations that are unmet, right? Imagine you're that person and what's going through you, right? Especially when you're not getting the results. You're not living up to the expectation. You're not living up to your potential, what could have been, right? What you're supposed to be doing and who you're supposed to be and the result that you're supposed to get. Just imagine the identity crisis that you have within yourself, the story that you tell yourself, and what you focus on, right? Imagine you have aspirations to be an actor, and you're living in New York, and you are going from agent to agent. You're trying to get work, and you're broke. You're living in New York. You're living with your wife. Your electricity gets cut off several times. Your heat doesn't work. Gets cut off several times because you don't have money to pay for it. And you literally resort to hawking the last few things that you have, which is your wife's jewelry. Your wife finds out and she's had enough and she divorces you, but you still believe in yourself. You keep going, right? And you're so broke that you decide to go to this liquor store, and the very last thing that loves you the most, doesn't matter who you are, what's going on with you, you resort to selling the very last thing that you own that you love the most, which is your dog. Right? Just to continue to live your dream, even though you're not getting results. You feel bad, you sold the very last thing that you love, and you continue to pursue your dream. And you land your first job, right? Your first acting job. And how you landed it was pretty amazing, because you went to this agent, and at the very beginning of the day, and they're trying to get in to see this agent, the gatekeeper, the secretary, keeps pushing away, to the point where the agent leaves the building and sees you at the front door, and you're trying to get time with him, but he's like, oh, I can't, I have an appointment, I have to leave. So he leaves, and then he comes back the very next morning to his office. He sees you there still, and he says, wow, you came in early. And your response to him was, I never left. I've been here all night waiting for you. So the agent's like, oh my God, all right, come on in. Meets him, asks him what roles he's actually played. He's never gotten a gig before, and then decides to pay him $500 for a small role in this movie, your very first movie, right? And you get that first role, but that's it. Everything else dries up, and that was the only role that you got. and you should be giving up on your dream, but you still want to continue pursuing it. Till one day you go home and you watch a fight on TV, and it was Ali versus Wepner. And you watch this fight, and you get inspired by this fight. And then you sit down, and you write this movie, right? Because you see this white guy, Wepner, getting beat up by Muhammad Ali, but he keeps coming back. He keeps coming back. He keeps getting up, right? And then you write this book. You spend 3 days and 3 nights writing this book nonstop to the point where your arms almost fall off. And then you take this book, this script, and you find an agent, and somebody reads this and loves it. They love the script, and you're broke. You sold your wife's, you're now divorced. You've hocked your wife's your jewelry. You sold the very last thing you love, which is your dog. And then somebody for the first time says, I will buy this from you for $250,000. At that time, it's like equivalent of today's world where I would walk into a script like that and I'm broke. Somebody offering me $5 million. That's the comparison of what it would be worth today. Yet you declined it. You said no, and you're that broke, you still declined it. To the point where they make you another offer and continue trying to make you an offer up to like $500,000, equivalent to like $10 million today. You still say no. Why? Because you believe that you should be starring in the movie. And they're like, I can't pay you all this money and have you, an unknown actor, star in this. No way. Right? They're like, but I wrote this for me. This is my life. This is me. I should be starring in it. To the point where they made him one very last offer, which is $750,000. And he still declined it. To the point where they were like, God, you are stubborn. And they made him another offer of $30,000, and he can star in the movie, and also his result or his income will be tied based on the result of the movie. That's what they were willing to risk. And that's what he was willing to risk because he believed in himself. And this is the first story that I shared with you was the story of our current quarterback right now, whether you like him or not, whether you love our team or not, of Sam Darnold, who was drafted in the 2018 class as a 3rd overall pick. The second story that I just shared with you is the story of Sylvester Stallone. These are real stories. Sylvester wrote Rocky 1, and that's exactly his life. He was failing so bad, so broke, that he had to sell the last thing that he loved, which is his dog. When they made him that $30,000 offer, he took all $30,000 back to that liquor store where he frequently visited, where the person who bought his dog frequently visited for almost 3-4 days. And on the 4th day, the guy finally comes there with the dog, and he made him an offer to buy back his dog. He's like, no, that's my dog now. I bought it from you. And he sold his dog for $50. And the final negotiations broke. He's like, you know what? I'll give you the entire $30,000 and a role in this movie that I'm getting. So he talked into the contract. Not only is he only paid $30,000, and the outcome, the results, he would actually make more if the movie did well, and his dog and the guy who bought his dog has a role in it. So if you look at Butkus, right, and the other guy, that's the guy that actually bought his dog, had a role in the movie, right, in Rocky 1. And obviously Rocky has grossed over, $350 million in terms of him making money. He's grossed over billions of dollars. But in terms of Rocky, he was able to net himself or gross himself over $350 million, won like 8 or 9 awards, right? So that's the outcome of that. But he had a dream and he pursued it. He believed in himself enough to pursue it, right? And again, welcome to same thing with Sam Darnold. He believed in himself to continue pursuing it. So this mastermind is about identity versus identity. Could you imagine what it's like to be Sam Darnold those past 5 years, right? To be able to, not live up to your expectations? What identity crisis were you having? Or what story was he telling himself? Or what was he focused on? Obviously, he's having an amazing year this year, right? Our team decided last year to sign him to a 1-year deal, right? Because we lost Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons, which is our starting quarterback. We tried to keep him, but Kurt wanted more money, and they were not willing to pay Kirk Cousins. And thank God they weren't willing to pay him, right? A lot of fans had mixed emotions about Kurt. I was one of them. So thank God, I was like, let's try to draft. This next draft class was so amazing, right? JJ McCarthy, all these people. I think there were like 6 or 7 of the best, one of the best quarterback draft classes this year. I'm like, let's draft a young quarterback, in which we did. But they needed a journeyman or somebody who's going to take Kurt's place for 1 year. So they signed Sam Darnold up to a 1-year, $10 million contract. And they drafted JJ McCarthy, who goes into preseason and gets hurt. So Sam Darnold now gets thrust into the starting quarterback position, and he's done great, right? We finished the year at 14-3. We obviously had a very bad game on our last year to the Detroit Lions. We built a very phenomenal team as well, but still, as a fan, and I'm looking at someone like Sam Darnold, even if, obviously I want my team to go to the Super Bowl, I want them to win, I want them to go through the playoffs, right? All that stuff, but I can't not look at this season and say, oh my God, like Sam Darnold, bravo, right? Great job. I mean, persisting through that to live your dream. And I could just imagine the identity crisis he had, the stories he was telling himself when he wasn't getting results, what he was focusing on versus what this year, right? Transforming his identity, right? To who he really am, and the coaches, everybody there supporting him, the new story that he's telling himself, right? And what he's actually focusing on. Same thing with Sylvester Stallone. Could you imagine going through all of that, right? Your electricity gets cut off, your gas gets cut off, sell your wife's jewelry, all the noise, like his wife, ex-wife, telling him that he's worth nothing, he's not enough, he shouldn't be trying to do something else, right? He'll never make it. All of those things, to the point where he did make it, right? Persist through all of that, right? So as we're all going into 2025, and if you want things to massively shift in 2025, so that when you fast forward to a year from now, December 31st, 2025, you're like, oh my God, I did it, right? All my goals are met. I made the impact. I made the income. I launched my offer, and I'm getting success. I launched my business. I grew my business. I have better relationships. I have an amazing life. And if you want that result, the shift that you have to make is obviously the shift of you, right? And I think there's 3 things when you shift that need to shift in your life versus shifting. One is your identity. Second is shifting the story that you tell yourself. And then third is shifting your focus this year, right? Those 3 things and what you actually focus on. So let's start with identity first, right? I'm not an NLP expert. I'm not a mindset coach. I'm just going to walk you through me, right? What I do to shift my identity, what I do to shift my stories, what I do to shift my focus and make sure that I focus on the right things, because what you focus on, you get, and what you get, you feel, right? Or vice versa. What you focus on, you feel, what you feel, you get, right? Either way, what are you focusing on? So I want you to do this exercise with me. I want you to all close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine, let's fast forward exactly a year from today, all right? And you have ascended, lifted somehow up into this space of consciousness where you see this door, right? You see this massive, bright white door, and you enter, you walk through it. You walk through it and you see all the things in your life that you wanted to achieve this year. You see the relationships you have, the things that you want to spend your time on, the things that you wanted, who do you wanted to be, the things you wanted to do, you're actually doing, the things you wanted to have, the results, the transformation that you wanted to have. All of that stuff all came true. You hit all your goals, the resolutions that you set, the results that you wanted to achieve, the transformation you wanted to make in your life and lives of everyone around you, as well as your clients. And you did it. And in the center of this, and everybody's cheering you on, and you're walking straight, and you're seeing this person, they have their back towards you. And you get closer and you get closer and closer to them, they turn around, and it's you. It's a year from now. And as they turn around, they open up their arms to embrace you, to give you a hug for all the things that you did this year for yourselves. All right? Now, I want you to open your eyes, and I want you to envision that all happening now. And the beauty of this, guys, is that you don't have to wait a year from now. That could be you now, right? That could be you now. You don't have to wait for a year from now to actually happen. You can actually create from that space. You can be the person now, not a year from now. So what I do, guys, on an every single day basis is this. I don't start my day, because it's not when you get up, it's how you get up. Okay? It's not when you get up, it's how you get up. Here's exactly what I do to shape my identity, to tell myself the stories that I need to tell myself, what I need to focus on every single day. I do, and this is something that I learned from Tony, okay, from Tony Robbins, called priming. I don't start my day without priming. I spend at least the very minimum in terms of what I do for priming is 15 minutes. Generally, it's on an average, about 30 minutes I spend every single morning when I start. And sometimes I'll even do it twice a day. And sometimes I have done it 3 times a day, right? And this is how I prime myself right away when I get up. I spend some time with myself, and I do these 3 very simple things. One is I do a priming meditation, and I start off by being grateful. I start there first, right? Just all the things that I'm grateful for. Everything that just recently happened to me, the things that I have, the people I'm around, the things that I do, right? You guys having, the know-how and everything that I possess, what my creator has given me. I'm at my mom's house. We just made it here Monday night. I've missed her, so I decided to buy a ticket and bring our boys here for a week. So we're going to be here for the week, right? But all of these things that I have, the ability to do those things, to be able to have financially to buy my ticket to come here, and the airplane that I came on, right? Like all of these things, the person who designed airplanes, like that's how great that to that point of space, right? Start off with gratefulness. Generally about 10 minutes of all the things that I'm grateful for. I fill my heart with gratitude. And then I spend another about 10 minutes generally on basically just sending out love. Just sending out love to the world. Everything that's happening in the world, right? Wars or anything that's happening, the recent thing that just happened in the US and New Orleans, and everything good, bad, all my family, my friends, my clients, I just send out tremendous love and prayers to the world. So I spend a lot of time there. And then I spend the last 10 minutes now taking myself and imagining as if it's already happened. The last 10 minutes. I see these 3 areas. I see who I want to be. I see the things that I want to do, I'm actually doing. Like envisioning myself running a 100-person challenge, right? Speaking on a 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 person stage. I see myself doing that already. Then all the things that I wanted to have this year, like the orphanage that we want to start this year, the house, the real estate business that we want to start by building tiny homes, affordable homes for people, right? The house that I'm wanting to buy when I go back to the US for my sister, right? It's actually already happened. I have those things. I'm that person. I set my I looked at it as if I'm already become that person. I'm already doing those things, and I have those things already. Because then all of that, by doing it this way, it allows me to essentially, my identity of who I actually am, I've already become. The story that I tell myself is the story that it's actually already happened. I'm priming myself every day as if it's already happened. And then the things that I want to have, what I focus on having, I focus on that it's already happened. So I prime myself every day before I start my day, because I believe that most people just get up and start their day. They get up, turn on their camera, or they get up and look at their phone, or they get up and just go, right? They just go, go, go. And I believe that it's not, if you really want to shift your identity, you want to shift the story you tell yourself, you want to shift what you focus on so that you can shift and have an amazing 2025. I think you need to add priming. I think you need to add some type of a tool like this for you to start your day. Because it is not when you start, it's how you start. All right. So what do you guys do? Is there anything that you guys do that could help you through this process as you're, pursuing your dreams? Because at the end of the day, guys, as much as I want you guys to get results immediately and generate the impact, generate the income, but what happens if it doesn't? How do you prime yourself? How do you stay consistent and make sure that you stay true to the real true identity of who you are? How do you continue to tell yourself different stories and shift your focus to focus on the things that you already have and focus on things that you want to have versus focus on all those negative things that could be coming at you when you're not getting the results that you want? What are some other things you're doing? Morning victories. Yes. Talk to us about that. Share. I'd love to hear. What are your morning victories?
Yeah, okay. So thanks, Cease. I wake up early, and first thing I do is fall on my knees, like you're describing. I thank my maker, and along with that, pray for those I have concerns for, whether it be family, with the world, that good may prevail over evil. But then also, I strive to keep mindful of who can I help today, that I call it reaching. Who might I reach out to be a good share? One is my 86-year-old mother who lives by herself now. My father passed away. I call her just about every day, but I have other people that I strive to keep mindful of as well. And then I read from the scriptures and do some daily exercises to get myself going, and try to find something inspirational and eat a good breakfast and get to work on time. As far as in our business, I feel that I've got to keep accountable in my business. And so that's, like when I used to have to be at an employer to work at 6 a.m., I want to make sure that I'm starting to get at it with a list of things to do for that day. So that's in a nutshell. Sometimes I'll add other things as I see fit, but those are the main parts of my morning ritual.
Very good. And you do that pretty consistent? Yeah.
I do. Yeah. In fact, I keep it in my calendar, kind of a grid, and I'll I'll before the day's over, make sure I've kind of checked off some of those things. Just that way I feel a sense of progress, like you're describing in your one post, how we need to feel like we're continuing to make progress to keep morale up. So,
Yeah.
that's, others have other ways. That's just how I do mine based on W. Clement Stone's having a success tracker that he
Yeah.
describes in the success system that never fails.
Yeah.
So,
Because it's guys, like, your state is everything, right? Your
right.
state is everything rises and falls based on the state in which you're in. So when I do this daily, right? So every single day I get up, that's exactly what I do. It's at least 30 minutes. If I have to if I shorten it, I at least do it for 15 minutes, right? 5 minutes each, but generally it's pretty consistent, about 30 minutes a day. And that's it. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do it twice a day. And like I said, sometimes I need it where things are happening. I need it, 3 times a day. Right. And it's something that happens to you naturally as you're trying to make progression. Right. Because I know the identity crisis that I had, the stories I was actually telling myself, and what I focused on when I was struggling those 2 years. I needed to prime myself even more then than I am now, because it's like, okay, maybe you're not, you're not meant to do this, right? And the stories I keep telling myself, well, maybe you should give up, and all those things, right? And you got outside noise as well as internal stories, internal noise. And I was definitely focusing on the wrong things. I had to spend time priming myself more and more, especially when you are struggling, when you are not getting the results and you're trying to start something new. That's probably the most important, most vital time that you should actually be doing this. Right?
Absolutely.
And I don't see people doing it. The problem is you get up and you just go, right? And it's like, you got to spend some time getting ready to go first. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would do it consistently. I mean, I do it every day, 7 days a week. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Christmas,
Yep.
New Year's Eve. It's just, if you can't spend 15 minutes at least to 30 minutes of your time to prime yourself, I think you're gonna have a hard time, right? You're gonna have a hard time getting the results you want.
Yeah, and it physiologically, mentally, it's a state of mind that you go into, and yeah, I had a good friend. He's 86 as well. Owned an athletic club for years, and he was always centered, and he credited the morning meditation to doing that, like you're describing. So, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that you can also do as well, one of my friends, his name is Philip, and him and his mom want to run a very, very successful real estate firm down in Houston. And I recently went to his house like 3 months ago before I came to came to Asia here. And he had this massive wall that in his office, and he wrote all his I am statements. Right. And that's where he spends every day. He reads out his I am statements, right? And that's how he stays true to kind of his identity, because, he's telling himself, I am, a great leader. I am a great marketer. I am a, influencer, all of these things, right? And that's one method he uses to prime himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Already, I'm thinking of categories that I could post on the wall to remind myself who I am. I think that's critical that we really that's a whole nother topic. So thanks, Cease. Appreciate what you're sharing
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. So that's one. And the second thing is, and there's studies that have been proven too, right? Like the study, of seeing the result before you actually create the result.
Yes.
Like Coach Valvano, who coached North Carolina, for example, right? His very first coaching practice that he did when he coached a team that had very low trust of the system, had very low trust of the coaches, and had low trust of the school. And the reason for that is the coach before him left, right? The coach before him left the players. So when Coach Valvano came in, he says, look, I'm going to earn your trust. And the very first day of practice, talk about telling yourself a different story. Another way to do it, right, is he had his players lift them up to go cut nets off of the rims and then carry him, parade him around on their shoulders, acting like they were winning the championship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the players are starting to believe in the coach, believe in the system, believe in that. And that year they won the national championship, right?
Yeah.
So they rewrote their story by assuming it already happened
Mhm.
before it actually did, right? So you can actually do the same thing, envisioning yourself, acquiring the clients that you want to acquire, running the webinar you want to run, right? Converting and creating content and driving traffic, all building a list, generating leads, assuming that it's actually already happened. That's one way of also rewriting your story and telling yourself a different story than the current narrative, so that's another way. Okay. Anton, you raise your hand. Yeah, you want to share something?
Wow, I don't want to follow up after Dwight. That's going to be rough. That was a good take. That was a great take.
Yeah.
Mine is a little bit different. I don't have a morning routine, which this makes a lot of sense what you're saying about the priming. It's a great framework.
Yeah.
I have some kind of disease almost, which is called I'm delusional about how, like, the probability of me succeeding. So in other words, I'm so insanely convinced that I will be successful one day that I just refuse any other reality in my future. So it's one of those things where, because I've struggled for way too long and I have this insane belief that God did make me to be successful one day, to bless other people, I've bought into it. And, he's given me certain gifts and he wants me to use those gifts to bless other people. And so it's one of those things where it's like, if someone came to me and told me you can't do it or it's never going to happen, it's almost like you're out of your mind. Like,
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when it's going to happen. I just know that it is going to happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if it's the last day on my planet, I'll get there.
Sure. So that, which is great. Most people, you have basically, I believe in faith, right? So you have actually stepped into, you bought into it, you believe it, you believe that God, your creator, created you to be very, very successful, to do the things that you're stepping into doing right now. I also bought into that, right? I feel that and there's I am not going to live any life other than that, right? So, but now you have to create it. So if you're not getting the results, you have to create that result first, right? You're just like you said, your mind, your emotions have to arrive at that destination before your actual physical life does, right? So how do you create it? And that's where priming kind of comes in, right? You have people talk about vision boards, seeing it right on a vision board. You're actually creating it, right? You're drawing you're tracking it. You're sending energy out to the universe, saying that this is what it's as if it's already happened. So I think that's one of the, if you don't have a practice of priming as if it's already happened, I think that's definitely something that you need to do, right? You need to have in your tool belt to actually do. Okay.
Got it.
Things change in your life when that actually happens. There's no doubt. When you actually start creating from that space and seeing that it's actually already happened. I remember I was looking something up. Dr. Dispenza was sharing. It's almost like you're creating a future that hasn't happened, but your body's like remembering as it's already happened. You know what I mean? You're like preparing. You're essentially preparing yourself for what is about to come, or preparing yourself for it actually happening. There was there was a video that I'll send you guys a link, but he talked about this in the very first 10 minutes. He was on a podcast with Aubrey. I don't know if you guys know Dr. Dispenza, but he's one of those that, manifestation, law of attraction, creating from that field, from that energy, phenomenal. The first 10 minutes of that, I'll send you the guys a link. But I loved it, and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Talk about priming yourself consistently on an every single day basis to actually get what you want, right? It's pretty cool.
You're talking about
But you're creating
Aubrey
a
Marcus?
Yeah, he did one. I think it's get what you want. I think it's how to get what you want. Yeah, he did a podcast with Aubrey Marcus.
How to create the future you want.
Yeah, how to create the future you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch that. Yeah, watch that. Like, just you already know, just within the first 5 minutes of that, it's pretty cool to witness. Some great content there. So that's how you're creating. He's talking about creating the result before you actually get the result, right? In your mind. I think that's one thing that you're missing, and I do this every day. This is my practice every single day, right? Gratitude puts me in that amazing space of even the little things that I get. Like I said, I was grateful for the person, whoever designed or thought about the planes, the right planes. Like that's the type of space that I operate in, right? Because just to get me here to allow us to be with my mom this week, because we missed her, right? So all of that stuff, and sending out love and prayers and energy out to the world, and then the third is focusing on it and as if it's already happened, right? Focus on all the results that I want this year as if it's already happened. The stage I want to speak on, the challenge I want to run, the clients I want to acquire, the money I want to make, the impact I want to make, as if it's already happened. And just kind of like what Dr. Dispenza says, our bodies don't know the difference. When we get to that space where we create from that space, our bodies are like, oh, maybe it's already happened. It doesn't know reality, right? That it's actually happened or not. And it's just assuming that it does. And all of a sudden, opportunities come, people come into your life, results happen. And you're like, where'd this come from? It becomes, unconscious competency, right? And then you're living then really your true identity instead of this lie, right? Make sense? Cool. Well, guys, I am very happy to, if you guys want to talk about anything else, I'm here. But this challenge, just kind of give you guys, some context of this coming week's challenge. If you haven't registered for it, we're going to spend about 2 days, 2 hours a day. And the reason why it's a 3-day challenge, because I'm going to walk through very, very simple. Your business is broken up into three parts. That's why we're going to do it over 3 days. It's traffic, leads, and sales. That's it. I'm going to show you how to manage each day your business based on the traffic that you need to create and generate so that you're seen. And then the leads, which is how to build a list, your client journey, right? To go from interest to decision. And then sales, the last day, is ultimately about your offer, how to create it, how to make it, who to create it for, all of that stuff, right? And I'm going to show you the leads part. I believe that you should have at least 3 client journey maps that you have mastered, that you will stay true to. And then you obviously have to test out different client journeys to take your clients through this down your funnel with you. And I'll be using the several things that we're actually doing this year as well, on top of what we're already doing, our very first 3 maps, right? So, and showing you guys how to map out your client journey as well, because it is a hero's journey you're taking your clients through, and you are the guide that's taking them through this journey with you. Okay, so that is our challenge. So other than that, I have nothing else I want to cover. Anything else you guys want to ask? Anything that's going on? I have some time for you, and more than happy to unmute yourself. And if not, have an amazing rest of the day, and we'll see you guys at the challenge. Anything else? All right, Dwight, thank you.
Thanks, Cease.
All right, guys, have an amazing rest of the day.
You bet. Okay.
Okay.
I had a quick one, if
Yeah.
that's okay, Cease.
Right, Anton. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
You said that you're gonna be we need to make 3 shifts. And I don't know if I missed what they were. And you said one of them was gonna be identity shift.
Yeah. Your I am statements are huge as far as an identity shift. The B, right? So if you're talking about 3 shifts, identity, which is B, right? And when I do my priming, the very third step, I already prime myself as I've already become that person I want to be. All the I ams that I am, right? Somebody who loves, right? Love and connection is huge for me this year. Contribution is another human need that I want to, you probably have heard me say that. Me and my wife really want to start an orphanage, right? And it's one of the things that we really have been talking about. And I really want to start an orphanage, just to, to give back. And I hate suffering, right? I see all the times. And even though I wasn't an orphan, I kind of felt like I was. My mom and dad were, bless their heart, they did the best they can with what they had, and they were always working. And I was felt so alone. And I could just imagine these kids who, for whatever reason, they're not with their parents, and their parents have abandoned them, or their parents aren't in a state or a position to be with them. And I could just imagine how lonely they feel. You know what I mean? And just one of those things that we want to create, not just to give them the basic essentials like like food, medicine, and shelter, but like to really, how can we pour love into them, right? As many as we can. So contribution's huge for me. So I, as far as the B part, I'm already, witnessing myself, that's already happened, right? I've already transformed into that person. And then do, which is, the stories, right? Like, shifting your stories that you tell yourself. I'm already telling myself that I'm already doing these things, right? I'm already build my real estate company, right? Build my orphanage and running, amazing challenges and webinars, and built this laptop lifestyle tribe and impacting people's lives. So stories. And then the third is what you focus on, right? And have, right? To me, I'm focused on all the things that I've already have before I even have them, right? Those are the 3 shifts that you have to shift this year in order for you to shift 2025 to be exactly what you want it to be. You know what I mean? So,
Thank you.
okay. Very cool.
Cease,
Sorry,
I
guys,
have
thank you
one more
very-
thing, if I may.
Yeah, go right. Yeah, please.
The reason I was late, this just goes again to visualizing, though. I think a couple months ago, I ran into a guy at Lowe's, told him what I was doing. I sent him a link to the Russell's selling one to many, and he called me right before this call, and he has this thing he wants us to work on to get the word out through web or lead funnel called basically he was talking all about keeping attuned with the physical mind and body and keeping self-aware through juggling sticks. I know that sounds maybe odd, but this stick throwing is just, as he explained it, it reminded me how important it is to keep tuned with what we're doing. And I thought that it really went hand in hand with what you had to say tonight. So yeah,
Appreciate
I won't go on, but thanks for sharing.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, have an amazing rest of the day. Got about 12 more minutes. If somebody wants to hang back and have any questions for me, I'm more than happy. I'm here for you guys. Other than that, anybody that doesn't, have a great rest of the day.